Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Santosha's spiritual worship service. My name is Reverend Angie Hewitt-Apt, and I'm excited to see you this evening. Tonight's service is going to be a very special one as we come together to honor Lilydale registered medium and our good friend, Rev John White, who passed away unexpectedly into spirit on March 18th. But before we talk about John, I want to tell you a little bit about what this service is about. Okay. Okay, let me get here. This worship service is based on the religion of spiritualism. It actually started here in Western New York in 1848. Spiritualism believes that life continues after the physical change called death, and that God is a loving God who wants only our greatest good. We are spiritual beings having an earthly experience as we learn for our individual growth. Spiritualism firmly believes that the gateway to reformation or change for the better is always open to each of us. And I wanted to tell you, Santosha means contentment of the body, mind, and spirit. And we always hope that after you attend our service or any workshop or anything we have at Santosha, that's the way you feel after. I'm gonna open with prayer. Infinite Spirit, we welcome your presence here this evening and ask that you help us open our hearts and our minds to the many blessings that are around us always. Amen. And I'm going to do a reading tonight from Daily Om. It's Daily Om by Madison Taylor. And I found this reading. It's called It Begins With You Learning to Love Yourself. And I picked it because I remember John White talking about things like that. So I wanted to do this reading for him. We've all heard it countless times before. To experience true love, we must love ourselves. No matter how it is stated, the importance of self-love is vital to becoming a healthy, whole human being. We are all children of the universe, created out of love. We accept and care about other people, animals, nature, all that comes from the same source we do. We too then are worthy of our own love. To honor ourselves with affection and acceptance is to honor the universe that created us. Self-love is about fully embracing ourselves, realizing our strengths, and accepting our flaws. It is not about being self-centered or self-absorbed, which is based on insecurity and not knowing oneself. True self-love is a guarantee that we will not succumb to such selfish pursuits. For if we truly cherish ourselves, we know that we do not need to be the best looking or most talented or have the most possessions. When we love ourselves, we are able to give love freely to others without fear or being hurt or used. We value ourselves enough not to allow anyone to take advantage of us. And when we are secure in our love of self, we attract that of others. To learn to love yourself, treat yourself in the same way you treat those you care about. Be kind to yourself, giving yourself all that you need to be happy and healthy. Show yourself a good time by doing things you like. Eat well and take care of your body. Say nice things to yourself. Compliment and praise yourself just as you would a friend, family member, or lover. Encourage yourself when you are feeling down. And most important, say the words that we all long to hear. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. This can be difficult, but it is a powerful tool in acceptance and self-love. It may not be easy. You may feel foolish at first, but you can do it. Even if you do not feel the caring energy right away, keep doing it. Love yourself first, and you will be able to truly love others and will be truly loved in return. And I just have to say, my daughter, we learn from the wisdom of children. And when my daughter was about 12, she told me somebody told her she should do that. And she should look in the mirror every morning and say, I love you. And she did it. And I caught her doing it. And that's why she told me the story. But she told me it made a huge difference in her life. And she felt so much better about herself. So I think that's something we should all do every day. Okay. I'm going to bring on now, thank you for listening, and I'm going to bring on now Reverend Irene Lavin, and Irene is going to guide you into meditation, and we're going to send some healing energy out into the world. Okay.
All right, here we are. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Angie. One of the best ways to easily get into meditation is to relax. And that's what we're going to do for the first minute or so, and then go progressively into a more relaxed and open state. And there'll be a brief period of silence in the stillness, just you and Creator together. And then while we're in that high vibration, as we come out of it, we will go into healing, sending out healing energies. So as an act of self-love, just relax, relax yourself, your face, your arms, your legs, and your feet. Let yourself be in a comfortable position, at ease. And we're just going to start breathing a little more deeply, breathing out any haste in this day, any weariness, anything taking away from this moment. We just let it go. It has its place, and that place is later. Right now, it's your time. Your time to tell your body to just relax and be at ease. This is the space for relaxation, welcoming the joy of a relaxed body, relaxed shoulders, relaxed back, relaxed hips and thighs and knees and calves and our dear feet who carry us far and connect us to the earth. And as we feel that connection, we bring up Mother Earth energy into our being. Breathing it in, relaxing with that grounded energy. We breathe in and out. And we open up to our hearts at this time. We let our hearts open. And we see our hearts as we breathe in, surrounded by love. Love around and about our hearts. And not only is love around our hearts, but as that happens, our hearts open and love starts to flood out all around us, taking part in our relaxation, reminding us that this is not difficult, this is easy, and we are patient with just being in love, swimming in love. And we feel greater and greater ease. And then we speak to our minds and tell our minds to be just easy with this time, to let thoughts float gently, And we know we will let any thoughts that come up, just note them and let them go. And we feel relief as we relax. And we feel ourselves opening up from the right side of our being, from our brains, opening up to our intuition, opening up to the light that is always within us, the light that's always present and is part of Creator. And we open up. We let go of any resistance. And we breathe in and out naturally, feeling all cares just drift away. That love is abiding with us. And we feel, as we do this, growing closer to that inner spiritual self that is always with us, always with us. And we feel a connection growing. We are connected by a silver cord of love and kindness, generosity and joy to our brighter self, our spiritual self. And we feel that. We let go of any reluctance. We let it fade. And we see ourselves growing more purposeful, connecting with that divine within that uplifts us, cares about us, and is always with us if we but open to it. We feel beauty filling us, kindness, patience, all about us. We know we are strong within, and we feel that strength. But most of all, we feel the love that unfolds like a rose in our hearts. And we lift ourselves up, and we take a minute or so to be in stillness with the divine, knowing that we are one. And we take this beautiful vibration in. We know it is ours. And we know that this vibration will come back with us as we start to breathe a little more deeply, as we feel our essential goodness. And we breathe in deeply, taking in this love as we unfold. And we feel happiness surrounding us, uplifting us, joy that is ours for the asking, for opening up to it. And we know that we are all one. children of God. And as we breathe, we let go. We let go. We let go. And we feel peace upon us. Peace. Peace. And as we breathe that in, we begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes to gradually bring us back to Mother Earth, but still bright inside, still one with the divine, one with the divine in everyone else. And feeling that feeling, we open up for spiritual healing. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. We put our trust in the love and power of God. We know that this healing force goes out to our dear Mother Earth who sustains us, to all people, with the prayer and the hope that they will recognize their essential goodness, their potential to be loving and kind, and that we will all be kind to ourselves and to each other and act bit by bit from that love. We know this is so, and we will do our part to help that occur. Amen.
Thank you, Irene. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. I feel nice and relaxed, so I appreciate that. Yeah. And I love hearing that prayer too. That prayer is beautiful.
Thank you.
So everybody, again, our service this evening is in memory of our friend, registered Lilydale medium, Rev John White, who crossed over peacefully into spirit on March 18th. You know, every time I saw John White, he was smiling every time. He'd always say hello and with that smile and say something positive all the time. And he seemed to walk with a spring in his step, you know, like he was going towards something or looking forward. I loved that. I loved watching him give messages at the Stump in Lilydale, as well as here at Santosha's worship service. He came so many times, and the messages were so uplifting and healing, and everybody always walked out with a big smile on their face. You know, I remember when I opened Santosha, 6 years ago or so, and I was trying to get some different teachers to come in and teach, and trying to think of who I could have come. And I happened to be on Facebook at about 10 o'clock at night, and I saw a post by John White. And of course, I didn't know him, but I knew who he was. And I thought, I'm going to work up the courage, and I'm going to ask him if he'll come and teach for us. And I did. I sent him a message, and within 10 minutes, he said, "Absolutely, I'll come and teach at Santosha. When do you want me?" So, and that kind of led to him coming and teaching some wonderful, wonderful workshops. We're so fortunate that we got to experience. And he also came and spoke many times at our spiritual worship service. Last June, during the pandemic, and actually this was last April that we started recording everything, because we started doing everything on Zoom, and how lucky we were, because John White came and spoke at our service last June 2020, and we have it recorded, and it's a wonderful, wonderful talk. And I thought, what better way to honor him than to replay that talk? So I share with you now, Reverend John White. Karen's going to cue it up. Okay.
Thank you very much. What a pleasure. What a pleasure it is being with you, Angie, and your whole spiritual group.
Thank you.
Well, I'm coming to you from downtown Lilydale, New York, and I want to talk a little bit tonight about mediumship. So, faith is the evidence of things heard but not seen. So, faith is the evidence of things hoped for the evidence of things not seen. I want to tell just some brief stories of why I believe the way that I believe. It started many, many years ago when I was 6 years old, and I was going to a Catholic school, and I was extremely shy. I was in grade 1. I was extremely shy. And because I was shy and they were putting on a play with Jesus, I got to play the part of Jesus because Jesus didn't have to say anything. And so sitting there in a large room with all the students and all the parents, and all of a sudden the teacher read this, forbid not the children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Forbid not the children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. And all of a sudden, the energy in the room changed. And to this day, I don't know if it was Jesus or an angel, but the energy in the room changed. And, you know, it says in the Bible, in order for you to enter the kingdom of God, you have to become like a child. So I was very shy. And so my first spiritual experience was playing the part of Jesus, the teacher reading that, and a being of light came into the room. And I didn't really take note of it. Now, I bet if you go back in your lives, at different times in your life, you would have experienced slipping into your timeless mind, getting visits from members of your family and angels, but you didn't recognize it. We love here to teach at Lilydale. We call it being intuitively intelligent. So for instance, there's something called academic intelligence, and then we have emotional intelligence and physical intelligence, but guess what? There is something called intuitive intelligence. And here at Lilydale, we teach you how to become intuitively intelligent. That means knowing how to work with your intuitive mind, because as a medium, it is through the 5 intuitive senses that we receive messages from the beyond. And I'd like to continue telling just a so simple stories, and hopefully this will inspire you. I do believe that I was a Tibetan monk in Tibet a long time ago. And one time I was being regressed into a past life. And I saw myself as a Tibetan monk, and I was learning how to do soul traveling and out-of-body experiences. And I thought it was very interesting, but I didn't really take any note of it. But then, several years later, slipped into what is known as a lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is that when you're dreaming and you know you're dreaming, and all of a sudden you become conscious inside the dream. The Tibetan monk that I met in the past life regression is there standing at the end of my bed. He got me to do this special breathing exercise, and he took me off into the spirit world to go visit my grandfather who passed on many, many years ago. And so sitting in front of my grandfather didn't say anything, but I knew that I was in a sacred place. You know, in A Course in Miracles, it talks about love and fear. And on my way to that spirit world, I remember have a sensation of being afraid. But I remember the Tibetan monk turning to me and saying, "We're sorry, that doesn't exist here." And that's when I first found out that in some of the higher spirit worlds, the emotion that we call fear doesn't exist. So there I am sitting in front of my grandfather. He's simply patting a little dog. And I knew in a holy instant that he was going to take care of me. And then I was brought back to my bed. I was living in Montreal, Canada at the time. And I got up and I was walking around. Oh, I was so nervous what was going on. And then I laid down again. I went back to sleep. And the Tibetan monk showed up again. And he took me to another spirit world. And the best way that I can explain it, now remember, Jesus said that in my Father's house there are many mansions, and if it wasn't true, I wouldn't have told you so. So literally, there are many, many different spirit worlds. And in this spirit world, the best way that I could try to explain it is that it's as if there was just people floating and walking around. And the Tibetan monk was standing beside me. And I mean this literally, by the way. And for some reason, I was able to be aware of the thoughts and emotions of those beings in that spirit world. And I was very surprised to find out that they still seem to have their emotions and desires and fears and anxieties. Okay? And so that's why I often tell people, just because you've passed on, it doesn't mean you know a lot. There's an old Buddhist saying, wherever you are, there you are. So let me try this little exercise with some of you. I want to show you what it's like when you pass on. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. This is it. Whatever's going on in your mind now is going to go on in your mind after you pass on. And I was really surprised because, I thought that once you pass on, you know it all. Boy, are we in for a surprise? Okay? But then the Tibetan monk took me back to my bed, and I got up. Again, I walked around. I was very nervous. And then he took me to another place, and he took me to a house that was in the physical world, and I saw this man working on papers. And so it is experiences like that I've had the opportunity of having to know without a shadow of a doubt that we do not die. That we do not die. And here in Lilydale, we teach you that. Nobody dies. Nobody dies. And it is not that my faith is because I've met all these beautiful angels and different master teachers throughout time, but it's something as simple as meeting my father who passed on to come to visit me, talking to my brother who passed on, coming to speak to me. Just the other day, I was giving a reading to an elderly couple where their son committed suicide. And he came, and it's not that on the other side of life he's going through those judgments that like some religions or faiths would get us to believe. He's sorry that he committed suicide, but that he was bipolar and he was on all sorts of medications and he was going through a divorce. He just couldn't emotionally take it anymore. So unfortunately, he shot himself. But he came to me during that reading to talk to his mother and father and ask their forgiveness. And he was fine. He was with his family. He was with his grandmother and his grandfather and his friends on the other side of life. Okay? So it's experiences like this as a medium and also a person who really very much into meditation that we can have these experiences. Now, many years ago, I learned how to meditate. I remember the Beatles going off to India. That's a long time ago. And so in 1972, I learned that thing called transcendental meditation. Okay? And I went into an altered state, and I started having psychic experiences. Now, I go back so far that I remember when only a few people were doing yoga in the world, by the way. But look now, it's everywhere. Okay? So I want to encourage you, for those of you who are getting involved in mediumship and meditation, that you are making a profound difference in the world. And, it's not, my faith does not come from what I was told in church or what I read in books, but it is those personal experiences that I have experienced. So I bet if you go back into your life, basically, you will recognize, hey, when I was 6 years old or 7 or 10 or 12, I had an experience, but I didn't know what it felt like. Well, here at Lilydale, we teach you how to recognize it. For instance, I am not more intuitive. I'm not more of a medium than what you are. I am someone through practice have learned how to recognize when I'm receiving it. Okay? And so here at Lilydale, we teach you how to do exactly that. So again, faith is the evidence of things hoped for the evidence of things not seen. But I want to encourage you to learn how to meditate. And I want to encourage you to do whether it's yoga or Tai Chi or any of those things that help you to enter to a higher state so that you may have your own experiences. Know thyself. Know thyself. And when you get to know yourself, you realize that you are a very powerful being, that you were made in the image of God, And when in Christianity we talk about the gifts of the Spirit, one of the gifts of the Spirit is the ability to discern the Spirit. And what is that? That's mediumship. And in the early Christian church, they used to stand up and give messages that encourage each other. Okay? And so why do we call these different gifts the gifts of the Spirit? They're gifts because they were given to you before you were born. And the original sin, by the way, is that we have forgotten who we are. And when you remember who you are, you remember that you're a holy divine Spirit of God, and that each and every one of us has different gifts of the Spirit. Now, depending on your personality, depending on who you are, you may have the gift of knowledge, the gift of wisdom, the gift of prophecy, the gift of miracles and wonders, the gift of healing, and the gift of mediumship. So whatever your gift is, it is deep inside of you. Remember that he or she that is in you is greater than the person that is in the world. He or she that is in you is greater than the person that is in the world. And when we learned how to meditate, we create a higher vibration and we begin to open those gifts of the Spirit. So it wasn't really until I learned how to meditate that I began to remember these gifts that were inside of me. Because the original sin is that we have forgotten who we are. And when you begin to meditate, and different meditations work for different people, then you begin to recognize how you yourself can awaken these different gifts of the Spirit. So again, faith is the evidence of things hoped for the evidence of things not seen. But if you meditate, okay, what will happen is that you'll begin to have your own experiences and no one can take that away from you. I remember many different relatives who have come to visit me from the other side of life. And again, it is the simple visit from relatives from the other side of life that has really built up my faith. And oh, what a pleasure it is when people come, like the couple just the other day, the elderly couple who lost their son through suicide. And they were so afraid of where he was and those superstitions that some of the churches teach us. No, there was no judgment. Even though he took his own life, there was no judgment. He realized his mistakes. He was with a loving family on the other side of life, and he's continuing to grow and develop himself on the other side of life. Okay? So these things are the things that help me in my faith. And these are the things that I hope will help you in your faith. Now, each and every one of us have different guides and different teachers. Like, for instance, with me, it was simply my grandfather who I met. So that's why in spiritualism, when you first develop your mediumship, you'll feel the grandfather and grandmother, different members of the family that will come around you, because they're very happy to help you to awaken that gift of your spirit. And then as time goes on, you'll get to know who your spirit guides are. And when you get to know who your spirit guides are, you get to know what your natural talents are. And then you'll get to know how to communicate with the higher beings of light. Okay? So my message to you this evening is to meditate, but do not depend on other people's faith or other people's understanding. Go for it yourself. Remember, Socrates said, know thyself. And when you get to know yourself, you get to know the divine spirit that is inside of you. So, my friend, go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They also have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are fictitious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always in the world there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. But remember this, that he or she that is in you is greater than the person that is in the world. And no matter what lies in front of you or behind you, are all tiny matters compared to what lies inside of you. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble, for it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery, but do not let that blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals everywhere. Life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of years, gracefully surrendering things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortunes, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears come from fatigue and loneliness. Do you not know that you are a child of the universe? No less than the trees and the stars, you have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding the way that it should. Therefore, my friend, be at peace with God, whoever you conceive him or her or that infinite intelligence to be. And whatever your trials and tribulations, dreams and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be joyous, strive to be happy. And thank you for allowing me to share these few moments with you. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Reverend John White for those words of wisdom. Every time he talked, it was so inspiring. And every time he spoke, he taught too. I just want to quickly read you, Janice Dreschman, who is a registered Lilydale medium, wrote in comments. I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Janice. John will always be just a thought away. One of our pillars of what Lilydale is to stand for. Kindness and love is still what John represents to all of us. Close your eyes. This is the best of John. Honored to have known Reverend John as a fellow Lilydale registered medium, neighbor, and friend. Jan, thank you. And I thought those were the perfect words of, I think, how we're all feeling. I want to introduce now a good friend of John's. She was friends with him for 47 years. I give you registered Lilydale medium, Reverend Dr. Patricia Bell.
Thank you, Angie, and thank you, Irene. It is really amazing to be able to be here with you this evening to honor our dear friend. And I want to start by saying it doesn't matter whether you knew John 47 years or 4 minutes. He became a part of you. There was something about John White that could touch a person's soul in an instant that no one else could. To me, I have to say to all of you, he was the Mr. Rogers of Lilydale. Yes, not unlike Mr. Rogers, he had that kindness, that goodness, that truth and the beauty, especially with children. As I know, he spent 16 years, even this past year, working in the children's program on Zoom. But what is the amazing thing about John White? He was childlike. And yes, I have the brilliant memory of when his beautiful daughter, Julia, was born. And I mean, we're talking this little bitty baby. And John was staying at my home in Florida. And he took Julia into the bedroom and put her on his chest and did that exact Tibetan breathing with her. You know, she has always been the love of John's life. He couldn't refuse her anything. But you know what? When you look at John's life, he didn't refuse any of us anything. He touched each and every one of us, as Angie said, with a smile, with a look, with an endearment that we will take into our hearts forever. We talk about John passing. And few of you may know that John was very much a yogi. In fact, when he was given his name, it translates into English that he who has bliss in meditation, and it's hard for us to let our dear friend leave our earthly smiles, but yet him like Yogananda slip gently to the other side of life. And as you just heard him, he was completely aware that he could go from this world to the next. We know he's with us. I know he's with me. I had a dream about him just the other day when he came in and he was talking to me, and he was talking to me about various different appointments that I might have. And it was just a smile to know how much he is always with all of us. So no matter what part John played in your life, no matter how well or how much time you got to spend with him, know how significant that is. You know, there's a photo there is of John White with him standing with Marilyn Rosner and the Dalai Lama. And they're all so serious. And there's John with his incredible smile. And I think of him and that photo and how his love, his innocence, and his reminder, not only did he love children, but he loved the child within each and every one of us. And John's ability to be present with us when we came to him. He wasn't distracted. He was in the moment, and each and every one of us felt his love. So I share with you not only my love of John White, and I know yours, and ask you, let us all be like John. Let us remember him by being kind, by being gentle, by being generous with our time, by being the kind of person that we knew John White to be. What a light, what a love he has given each and every one of us. So I know how grateful I am to have been part of his life and witnessed some of the most wonderful things that I could see. John possessed the light of God. It isn't a surprise to any of us that when he was playing a role of Jesus, that an angel would come and touch his humble soul. And that gift he gave to us as well, the gift of humility, to be kind and generous and to love one another. I thank you once again, Angie, for allowing me to be able to speak these words of our dear friend, colleague, and master teacher. I knew his humanness, but I also knew his spirit. And with that said, I offer to each and every one of you the opportunity to be like John. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Patricia. That was beautiful. He was a master teacher, and he sure did walk in the light. That was beautiful, a beautiful tribute. I'm going to bring Irene on because Irene, I think, had a little story she wanted to share about John that I think would go along well with what you were talking about.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those words.
Yeah, beautiful.
Dr. Patricia Bell, thank you. Your love for him is so evident. It just shines from you. And, you know, for the call for us to embody or think of those same qualities that made him what he is. So thank you for those kind words.
Yeah, beautiful words.
Yeah. I was a volunteer for a couple summers for Children's Week. Lilydale has a Children's and Teens Week every year in the summer. Last year it was on Zoom, but this was, John did a special workshop for the children. It was an actual circle, and he would bring his little dog Sadie and hold her, and I think she was a dachshund, something like that, just a little sweet brown dog, and he would hold her close to his ear, and he would imagine she was speaking to him, giving thoughts to the children, and then John would share them with the children. And those included messages for different children about their pets. So that's how he would start out. And I went back and I looked at some of my notes from his workshop. And the way he taught was he would show things, but he asked a lot of questions. And I found one question that he asked the children. I mean, he was having them use their imagination and that, but he just said to them, I wonder what unconditional love feels like. Imagine an adult teacher asking children that. Wow. And then he took answers, he listened to what they had to say. And then I recorded what he said. He said, what unconditional love feels like. He said, no matter what you do or who you are, God's passionately in love with you. Wow. John, what a teacher of children. And then he did an aside saying, Sadie likes that one. Yeah. And so, he did the message work with the dog to make the children comfortable. And then after a while, he invited children up who had an intuitive feeling so that they could, share some of their intuition with the group. And some of the children did. So, but it was a very gentle way of teaching and encouraging too. So, wow, he just brought the profound and shared it with them. So that's my story. I was just, his love for his animal was evident, and his comfort and being around children and his love for children was evident too. So
that's a beautiful story, Irene. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. That's his essence.
And Dr. Patricia Bell coordinates that week. So I'm really grateful for being a volunteer so I could be part of that. So
just quickly, Patricia, that's running again this year, Children's Week, right?
Yes, and it's going to be on Zoom. And we are going to have a class on helping the children grieve, because a lot of our children heard that when Reverend John passed, it did have an effect on them. And they are very much aware, and part of our grieving thing is there is a tree being planted in front of the Lilydale office and in honor of John, and there will be a bench. And so if anybody wants to contribute to the bench or the children's program or the dog park, and he also, John, I know, contributed to many different things. He also contributed to the international vision, and that was something that he also contributed to. But he's a part of us, isn't he, Irene and Angie?
Yeah.
And his simple mastery of such simple words.
Yeah.
Telling you to close your eyes and to open them up.
Yes.
And this is heaven.
Yeah.
Because he was giving us the essence that we inside ourselves create heaven here on earth. And he did that by his example. And, I really saw him as the Mr. Rogers. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood kind of energy, as if he was out on his porch, it was a smile and a wave, or if he was tending his garden. I mean, there wasn't a time that, and his generosity is that John would be there. When it came to spirit, he always, no hesitation, none whatsoever.
Generous man.
He sure was.
Completely.
He sure was. And I'll always remember that smile and walking through Lilydale. And you're right with that wave and that smile always. I forgot to say he used to, when he came to Santosha, we were right next to Lenova Pizza, and he was a Lenova pizza lover because we always had to go get him pizza too. So that was wonderful as well. And then we would sit and talk, and I do remember, when he talked to you, he was present and he listened, and that's a gift because not everybody does that, and that was beautiful. We can learn that from him too.
Yes, and he listened to spirit.
Yes, very much.
And that inner understanding is the most amazing gift. The most amazing gift. As you know, as a medium, as Irene knows as a minister and a medium, and as I know, that connection is beyond words. And
Sure.
John showed us exactly how it touched him and how it could touch all of us.
Yeah, and he believed and always said too, everybody has the gift. We all have it, and we can all connect to spirit at any time. I love the way he taught about that always.
Mm-hmm. That's humility.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off. Sorry, what?
With complete humility.
Yes, definitely. Everybody, we will post, if you want to make a donation in John's honor, we'll post information where you can do that. Okay, we'll put it in comments here, but we'll also create a separate post for that, just so you can, if you'd like. So, thank you. Thank you. This was wonderful.
Would you like me to do a few announcements now?
Sure, yes, absolutely, because we want to talk about Patricia's class.
Okay.
Good, yes.
All right. All classes are online. They're Eastern Daylight Time, and there are more details on the Santosha's Facebook page under events, except for Dr. Patricia Bell's workshop, and then we'll tell you more about that. So each Sunday we have meditation, a guided meditation at 11, and this Sunday we have guided meditation with inspirational writing, and that's taught by Reverend Brenda Reading, and she will start with a beautiful meditation and follow it with inspired writing, and she'll facilitate that connection. So, and it's something inspired writing is dear to her heart. So she's an excellent teacher. The following Saturday, this is on Saturday, April 17th, Dr. Patricia Bell will do a workshop, Where Are My Miracles? So talking about the history of miracles and how to create miracles. And it's on Saturday, April 17th from 1 to 2:30. So, and as you can see, that web address is where you sign up for the workshop. Very, very reasonably priced. Okay. The following day is a Sunday meditation. It's Zoom and in person, Tibetan sound bath meditation with Angie App, and it's at Santosha's new location on Worley Drive. Or if you prefer to be home, you can access it through Zoom, and you can meditate to the sounds of Tibetan sound bowls. And Angie has pursued training in this, and she loves working with the bowls. It's an uplifting hour. So the following Thursday, something new is starting. Using your natural intuitive abilities in your daily life. And this is a 5-class series. It's every other week, every other Thursday. And as you can see, it's meditation lesson, interactive lesson, and practice. Or you can drop in when you can. So for more details, look into Santosha's Facebook page. And I just want to remind you that there will continue through the month to be Sunday guided meditation at 11 a.m. I want to give a little PS that I hear that Reverend Angie is going to be our speaker in May at the worship service. So we're looking forward to that. And that's all I have. And as I said, more details on Santosha's Facebook page, or so Santosha Holistic Center.com, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you. I want to, and before you say the prayer, I just want to thank Reverend Dr. Patricia Bell for coming on. That was beautiful, beautiful tribute. Thank you to John White for that wonderful, wonderful, inspiring talk. We appreciate that, and we'll remember his lessons always. Thank you, Irene, for meditation and everything you do. And
Welcome.
yes, and I have to thank Karen Sully, who hasn't come on screen yet, but we would be nothing without Karen for sure. Because there she is. Okay, she comes up for a second. So thank you to everybody, and thank you for joining us, everybody, so much. And I'm going to turn it over to Irene again to say our closing prayer.
All right. It's the divinity prayer. If you know it, please say it or just follow along. There is a divinity within me that no man can destroy. There is a light within me that only I can dim. As I focus upon this light, it is my perfection, my protection, my very being. It wells within me and fills me. It surrounds me and protects me. It releases me from all negativity and permits myself to move forward in certainty that wholeness and light are mine, and no thing or being can destroy it. For my Father and I are one and cannot be separated. Know this with certainty. Feel it and experience it. God is, I am, and we are one.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Irene.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night. God bless you all.